go. Let's go. What's up, GitHub Education? Welcome back. I'm PJ Metz. You may know me, you may not know me, but we are here live on Twitch to talk about some amazing stuff. We are excited to be talking to Appwrite today, and we'll be bringing them on in just 1 second. But I just want to make a note. I'm kind of excited. This was my first time posting about being live on Twitch on Blue Sky, which I'm on Blue Sky. It's at metsandaround.bluesky.app, whatever the normal thing is. I'm not a cool tech person, so I don't have my own like URL on Blue Sky yet. But I used to do this all the time because some of you may know I used to stream by myself. I used to stream myself learning and getting into tech and learning how to code and stuff. And I remember always posting on Twitter and being like, here it is, check me out, check me out, check me out. And this was my first time doing it on Blue Sky. And I'm super excited to be on Blue Sky. They just hit 30 million users. Congrats, y'all. But this is not about Blue Sky, this episode. This episode on GitHub Education is about you, student developers out there, learning to build amazing things and getting the tools that help you build those amazing things. And we've been doing a lot of shows over the past few months here with members of the Student Developer Pack, which is a GitHub offering for if you're a student and you get verified as a student on our system, you get access to a bunch of tools from amazing companies. You get access to Copilot, better Copilot. I think it's, what do we call it? Like Copilot Pro. You get access to Copilot Pro. You get access to GitHub Pro. You get Actions Minutes. You get stuff from a lot of amazing companies. We've had Notion on here before. We've had Codedex on here before. We have had all these awesome offers. And today, no different. One of the best in the business in helping people get their tech off the ground and get it out of, as it was put to me the other day, get it off localhost. I'm very excited to have with me today someone I've known for a while, at least on the tech internet space, and someone who used to tune into my shows when I was learning what a variable was and getting frustrated at methods and stuff. And I'm just excited to bring them on. Please welcome from Appwrite, DevRel extraordinaire, Aditya. Aditya. Yes, they're all clapping for us right now, Aditya. Can you believe it? Can you hear the applause? I can hear
I do imagine it anyway, but they are.
Every time I wake up, I imagine someone applauding for me. You got out of bed! I'm like, oh,
at this point, I think that should just be my alarm sound now. It should just be a little round of applause. Yeah.
I'm like Tinkerbell. I need applause to live. Aditya, for the people at home who don't know you, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Appwrite.
Sure. Hello once again. I'm not sure whether it's day or night where you are right now. For me, it's quite late at night. So late to the point where it's approaching morning now. But I am so excited to be here. This is my third time actually on the GitHub Education Twitch now, I think.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
Around.
We'll have to get you when you hit your fifth time, like on Saturday Night Live, people who have hosted 5 times are called fivers, and they get a special jacket that has a 5 on it. We might have to do that for GitHub Education. Yeah, all right.
Well,
yeah,
I like that idea.
Jackets.
Absolutely. Well, I think PJ gave a wonderful introduction already, but if we are catching up here for the first time, I am Aditya. I am a developer advocate at Appwrite. Been around for a little over 3 years now. It's been my first job before I even got out of college. I think I've been there since senior year now, and I've just been having fun around with the open source community since. I'm heavily involved with some of our event processes, with a number of our community initiatives like our Heroes program, our Hacktoberfest activities, and most recently our education collaboration with GitHub.
Yes.
So I am extremely excited to be here with all of you, talking more about what Appwrite is and how it can help developers like you all. I have been around tech outside Appwrite for quite a while. I actively participated in a number of communities. I'm also a Microsoft MVP right now, so I've been playing around with. This has been a while actually. I got renewed for my second time award in 24. So yeah,
fantastic.
I've been playing around with Copilot for a while now.
I'm actually a Microsoft LVP. They're actually trying to discourage me from using Microsoft. No, I'm kidding.
I will say, I think had you not been an employee, you would have been one of us long
That's
ago.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Aditya, so you said you started at Appwrite as a student, and now you're finally getting to start working with like some education stuff and students. What's that feel like for you as you're going from like uh, having been a student, working as a student, graduating, professional life? You said it's been 3 years, but like you're relatively recently graduated. So like, what's it like to sort of feel like you're
Yeah.
helping new students now?
I always appreciate this because, while I graduated in 2022, I had been heavily involved with student communities across India and actually further beyond as well, ever since 2019. I got active with a number of communities such as the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors, with Major League Hacking's community, and a number of other such programs back in school. And to be able to really come back and support student community members the way I received support as a student, I think it really feels like I've gone full circle, and I thoroughly appreciate it. And I'm always excited because I remember the kind of stuff we were doing as students. I think students today are innovating so much more, and it's just so inspiring, and I'm always left awestruck when I look at the work students are doing.
Yeah. I mean,
So
imagine if you
I'm really
graduated with a
excited.
degree. Imagine if you graduated with a degree in poetry back in 2009 and you see the stuff that students are doing today in tech. It's mind-blowing what y'all are up to out there. It's amazing. And
I mean, what they're creating is no less than poetry, in my opinion. I think what people in tech are creating is art, and I, I've just got my
full
eyes open over time.
circle,
Oh,
Aditya, full
exactly.
circle. Excellent. Excellent. So we're not just here to talk to Aditya. We could do a whole show just you and me interviewing each other and chatting. But we're here
We
to talk
should.
about Appwrite. And yeah, actually, next time, just us hanging,
Yeah.
just banter, an hour of banter. But we got to talk about Appwrite because this is something that's really useful for students. And if I understand correctly, there's an Appwrite offering right now for students in the student developer pack. And this is something y'all can go and
Yes.
start building with today. So I'm going to kind of turn over the reins to you, Aditya, because you're the resident expert here. So tell us all about Appwrite and what it is and how it works.
Sounds great. And, thank you so much once again. PJ, I think we should really have that stream soon. Now, I think you already mentioned that we've got an offering on the student developer pack, which I was so excited about because I was an avid user of the student developer pack for years. Um, I think even before I started with college, I had access through high school as well. So I'm
Yes.
really glad to see App right there right now. For those of you here who may not have come across AppWrite, however, um, I think now's a great time to really talk a bit about who we are, what we do. Um, Now, I'm sure in the audience we've got a number of folks. Some of you must be building mobile applications. A few might be building with the web. A few of you may even have kind of gone further beyond bridging these, working with cross-platform frameworks, maybe building for the desktop as well. Um, let's really think about the work we do as developers across these paradigms. When we're building applications, whether it is for any of these client platforms, at the end of the day, we do end up coming back to a few specific fundamental requirements that our apps need, right? Like, for example, every app that you're working on is probably going to have a user login feature. Every app you're using will probably have a database somewhere, right? A number of you might be implementing storage, like
Mm-hmm.
you might be using S3 from Amazon or Azure Blob for some of you. Um, we've all got our preferences, right? We're all probably implementing messaging somewhere where we want to communicate with our users. I know I was a big Twilio fan, just constantly rickrolling people all across through my apps, but you're probably sending people notifications and messages and emails. And when you really think about it, as developers, when we're constantly working on different applications, different solutions, we do the same stuff again and again and again and again and again, right? um, we're constantly spending time on setting these services up, really plan. And even before you've kind of got to building your application, you've just spent a massive amount of time and money and effort, right? So a platform like Appwrite really takes care a lot of this heavy, well, it offsets this heavy loading for you, where Appwrite is going to provide you services for authentication, for databases, for storage, for messaging. We even provide a serverless function solution in case you need to extend your applications further. We've got real-time updates across your Appwrite instance. So it essentially offloads a lot of these back-end responsibilities and infrastructure. So you focus on your app, you build out
Yeah.
what your app is supposed to serve, and we take care of all of this heavy effort for you.
That's
And
fantastic.
I'm really excited to kind of give you a glimpse of what this can do, because when you look at your backend, it's going to take care of a lot of this hassle for you. You can build full-fledged applications which are designed to remain secure and scale. These services are kept with security in mind. We've ensured we've built out a whole managed infrastructure now which can scale up without needing you to worry about it. And so you can really implement a number of these services, such as authentication, which features, you're going to get authentication features such as email password login, phone, OTP authentication, auth methods, magic links in case you're into passwordless authentication as well out of the box. We've got our own database solution where
Wait, did you say that you can do magic links through Appwrite?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do magic
tell you?
links.
Magic links are like my new favorite thing. I'm so so granted, I use like a
nice.
password manager, so I don't have to like put my password in every time. I just let it do it. But when I get like the magic link, I feel like I'm in the future, and it feels like so much more sophisticated.
I know, right?
That's so cool that y'all do magic links. This is fantastic. Sorry, I interrupted. I'm just excitable.
That's totally all right. I'm gonna elevate this excitement because we've had this for over 3 years now, and it's all open source. So we're going to be able to take a look at that as well, just in a few minutes as we go ahead. But I think all open source software, what they've done is something really, really cool.
We love open source. Yes, please. More open source.
It democratizes access to these software and the knowledge behind these software to so many people. And we've done the same. So we're going to be able to take a look at that in a minute. But just before that, as I said, we've got a number of authentication offerings. We've got a databases solution. You've got multiple data types. You can set up your own collections, and you get a nice little API layer on top of the underlying database that we have. And we do use a fairly industry standard database. We use MariaDB under the hood. So it's not some niche solution which might break any given day. It is a well battle tested offering that we've got. Right?
I can imagine someone like being like, "Oh yeah, Appwrite." Like someone just built a random thing. It's like terrible under the no. It's like something trusted under the hood.
Exactly.
It's about taking open source availability and making it easier for people to use, building on top of building and building together. So like, love to hear that it's MariaDB underneath. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. No, I think that's great. We've got storage where, you've got a nice, simple to use solution for uploading and managing files. It comes with encryption out of the box. If you're uploading images, you actually get a lot of built-in image transformation capabilities as well. Like, for example, if you need to convert images from a JPEG or a PNG to a format like WebP, you can do stuff like that here. You get compression out of the box as well. And it actually it also comes with chunked uploads inbuilt. So if you need to, um,
Wow.
I think chunking, when it comes to managing any file transfers across the network, it makes things a lot easier, especially if you need to be able to pause uploads and downloads now. And we don't offer pausing out of the box with the SDKs right now, but
That's a little extra.
that is something you can actually do. The
That's
API in
great.
itself actually supports that, um,
That's awesome.
which is great. It's definitely helpful, and it allows you to kind of if suppose your upload kind of gets stuck in the middle, it allows you to resume stuff and
Yeah.
so on. I think as it helps you create a much better experience with your
You've been
file
mentioning
uploads and downloads.
you've been mentioning the API and like SDKs and stuff. Like, is it kind of API like heavy? Is it something that you got to be really good at like using APIs, or is it more like that's an option for people?
So that's the thing. You actually don't always need to understand the API very, very well. Because we've got so many SDKs available out of the box, it's going to take away a lot of this effort for you. Everything we do, all our developer experience is focused on simplicity. So the REST API is there for you to understand and use, but if you don't want to, you don't really need to. Um, you can just use the SDKs we offer, and we offer a lot of them, which I'm going to get to right after this.
Yeah.
Um, Functions, I think serverless functions is something we've all kind of come across in the past. We offer our own functions runtimes, and the cool thing that we've actually got here is that unlike some platforms which may have developed wrappers around um, an industry standard like Lambda functions or Azure functions or for Google or Google Cloud's offerings, we've actually developed our own runtimes from scratch, which allows us to be able to develop runtimes across a number of different programming languages a lot quicker.
Yeah.
We actually support 13 different programming languages right now, which includes JavaScript, it includes Python, Ruby, PHP, Java, Kotlin,
That's
Swift,
great.
C Sharp, and more. Um,
Yeah.
and you can actually connect custom domains with these as well. So if you own a domain and you'd rather use your domain with functions instead of the default Appwrite domain that's generated for you, you can do that as well. We also offer CI/CD with GitHub, so you can actually connect your functions repository on GitHub with your function on Appwrite, and just pushing to your branch on your repository will actually deploy your function, which is
Do you,
something we offer out of the box right now.
I bet there's a bunch of actions already out there too that you can find that are available that like other people are using in their open source stuff that you can be like, well, what actions are you
Probably,
using
yeah.
with your Appwrite? Just go borrow, right? Borrow from
I,
open
I
source.
think the interesting thing that we might have is that, and I'm actually going to show this because the demo example I have after this is connected to an Appwrite project, so we'll be able to kind of see how that works there.
Sweet.
Um, Yeah, but I think the interesting thing is we don't actually use an action right now for that. We do have a GitHub app that we set up, and I believe we use webhooks
Cool.
to kind of catch updates and deploy as
Love
of
a
now.
webhook. Awesome. What else we got? We
Yeah.
got messaging.
Yes. So we now have a messaging service within Appwrite as well, which lets you integrate with a number of email providers. It lets you integrate with a number of SMS providers, as well as push notifications providers like APNS and FCM, which is Firebase Cloud Messaging, if you want to send push notifications to Android or iOS apps. And it lets you manage all your messages, all your users, your groups within Appwrite, and use our SDK to kind of handle that communication, which makes things a lot easier when you're working with multiple channels and you want to have different groups of users for different purposes. You can manage all of that on Appwrite. You can schedule messages for if you want to send them at a later point of time. Um, and yeah, it actually becomes really, really handy,
Nice.
especially when you're working with scheduling emails and reminders and so on.
Yeah, shout out to the await keyword there, doing a lot of good work as well. We love some async await.
Absolutely. I think that's a feature with our SDKs. We have a very async first approach across
Love
the
it.
board.
I have a friend who is like, his name's Brandon Minnick. He's like the king of async await and .NET. He's got like courses and stuff available. So everything I know about async await, learn from Brandon Minnick.
I'm so glad you mentioned him. I do remember learning from some of his Xamarin content back in the days. Because my background is .NET as well.
Yes, he's got a whole thing for .NET MAUI now.
Exactly.
Got to check it out. Love it.
I can't think of programming without async await, especially, anyone who comes from modern .NET, you're not thinking of programming without async await. It's such a thing across that paradigm. Like, I feel like, you have tasks in .NET, but I actually had a hard time when I shifted to JavaScript and tried to work on some front-end applications, and I realized that a lot of content I was learning from used the promises approach instead of it was a bit messy. I just defaulted.
We're getting rid of the whole agenda for today. All we're talking about is async await now. No, keep telling me about Appwrite. I keep derailing you. I'm sorry.
I think it's a good thing. I love these interjections, by the way. I'm actually on towards one of our last big offerings here, which is real time. So as I mentioned, all of these different features on Appwrite, authentication, databases, storage, functions, messaging. When you're building an app, sometimes you need updates from these as they happen, right? Suppose I've added a new document to my database. There might be scenarios where I'm building an app like a chat app, for example, where I want to store messages in a database and I want to really just know when those messages, those documents have been stored within the database. And so the real-time service that we have lets you subscribe and get updates to every single event happening on your Appwrite project. So whether that is a file upload, or you've updated a document, or a function is executed and you want updates, you can get any of those updates within your apps. And the way that works is that we've got WebSockets support.
Cool.
And this support is inbuilt within the SDKs that we've got. So these allow you to get real-time updates to any events across Appwrite.
That is fantastic. So that's Appwrite. You've several times been like, the thing I'm going to show you, this thing I'm going to show you, and I'm so excited to see the thing you're going to show us, Aditya, because I'm excited to see this in action. Is that what's happening now? Can we do that now?
We will. But just before that, I actually wanted to take us to a special little page we kind of set up since Appwrite joined the GitHub Student Developer Pack. And this is essential for our next step where we look at this project, right? Because to be able to build this project that we're going to look at, you need to sign up on Appwrite, right? So we've got, since we've joined the Student Developer Pack, as long as you are an accepted member, you get free access to Appwrite Cloud throughout the rest of your academic career. So as long as you're a student and you're a member of the Student Developer Pack, you get support equivalent to our Pro tier, which means you're not going to have any trouble building any application.
That's right. Yeah, no problems.
It's going to be smooth sailing going forward.
That senior keystone assignment that you have to do, no worries. Appwrite is there to help you.
That's all it is.
That's really, and I think that's really one of the benefits of the Student Developer Package is all these tools that you can use on your class projects. It's not just for building for yourself. You become a better student because you have access to these things, and then you share it with all your other student friends, and everyone you know gets the Student Developer Pack. Make sure that person who was like me, the person who's majoring in poetry, get them the Student Developer Pack too, because there's stuff valuable in there for them as well.
Absolutely. Now, once you've kind of got access to the student developer pack, the student developer pack features Appwrite there as well. It's going to have a link to this page where you can just sign up. And this is going to sign you up through a special link we've got on Appwrite Cloud, where it'll verify that you're a member of the student developer pack. And if so, you will get access to our education plan. Once that happens, you will get access to what is called an organization on Appwrite. And these organizations, well, they allow you to have a grouping around your projects. An organization can have members. Billing is managed by an organization as well, which we're kind of seeing an example of here. As a student with the education plan, you're not going to have to worry about billing as such. It's free of charge for you. And the cool thing is that you won't even need a credit card affiliated with your organization. The education plan takes care of that because you're verified by your membership of the student developer pack.
No credit card.
That actually, I think it democratizes access to this. A lot of students do not have access to credit cards in a number of areas around the world. I know even back home, in India, I couldn't get a credit card until I graduated and it started working. So it's actually really handy to have this facility. Awesome. And what you're going to be able to do here is create a project where suppose, I'm just going to call it
Robert.
New project for now.
This project's name is Jeff.
Yeah, we'll call it Jeff. Or actually, better yet, we'll call it PJ's test project.
Yay! I made it. Woo. My name's on the internet.
Absolutely. Now, each project can have a project ID. If you leave this field empty, it's going to randomly generate one for you. You can also, however, add a test name, a name on your own, a custom name. And this is going to be really helpful because when you build your applications with Appwrite, you're going to need this access to this project ID. Okay. So when you do that, you'll be able to select a region. As of now, the only region we offer on Appwrite Cloud is Frankfurt. However, I do know that in the near future, we're going to be adding a couple of new regions here. So stay tuned for that. And you can actually set notifications for any of these regions if you'd like, and you're going to get an email as soon as they become available.
Super cool. Love it.
Once we create that, where it's going to take us to this new project page that we have. And I'm going to walk you through some of these because after this is done, we're going to take a look at this functioning project as well. But it's necessary to understand how some of these facilities work. So the first thing you do when a project is set up is you're going to add a platform. And this becomes important because this essentially tells your Appwrite project that a certain web application link or a certain Android app is allowed to communicate with this project. This is a part of our security first approach where we do not allow unauthorized hosts to access your project. So your data remains secure, at least to the extent that it can, as secure as you want it to be. Yeah. And when you go ahead and when you add this little host name here, like for example, if suppose I go ahead and add github.com. We'll use github.com as our host name just for this test.
Of course, naturally.
Yeah. It's going to then give you a few steps on how you can install the Appwrite SDK for this particular platform and integrate it into your application. It'll show you how to initialize the SDK. And with that, you're now going to get access to analytics across your Appwrite instance, where you can see how much bandwidth is consumed, how many requests may have been made, how many documents are there in your database. And you can actually observe all of these services now. You can also view your platform here, add new ones, and you can then go ahead and create API keys as well if you like.
Yeah. Go ahead and click create API key and show everyone the key.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many times when you were watching me stream before did I just like show off like my API key for like my Twitter bot? It was like every show I'd be like, oops, gotta go reset that.
PJ, I wanted to talk you up.
PJ, listen, we didn't have to talk about how bad you were.
I'm gonna say I've put API keys in GitHub repositories. Forget live
Absolutely.
streams. I've
Rite
lost
of
count of the number
passage.
of times Git Guardian has sent me emails to switch keys because they've
Yep.
kind of gone out there.
I
We've
tell
all
you,
done it.
one of the most popular things in security is the ability to like check commits for keys. You know, like how many
Mhm.
times did an AWS key get uploaded? It's like, well, why is our AWS bill so high? Oh, oops, I gave everyone
Yeah,
the key to our Lambda or to our S3 buckets or whatever. Amazing.
that
Awesome,
actually
awesome,
happened with
awesome.
me once. I put a Twilio key out there, and next thing I knew, I had a $200 bill racked up.
I feel like every student needs to, because it happens to every person and every student.
Yep.
The first time it happens to them, we're like, "Oh, I'm so dumb. How could I do this?" It's like, no, man, that's your initiation. That's how you that's how you get
You
in
know, the
there.
real kicker
Sharing is
was that
caring.
the app where the funny thing is that application was actually just being used to call people and rickroll them, and so
It's
yeah,
just someone who's rickrolling
I think
everybody for
someone
two hundred
really got
dollars.
back at me for pranking them. But
Yep.
that's what happened.
That's what it is. They said, well, thanks for
Yeah.
rickrolling me. Stole your key. All right. So don't let your keys get out there. But if you do, students, don't worry. It happens to everybody. It's a rite of passage.
Yep. Exactly. Now, of course, this particular project here kind of looks empty for now, right? Because we haven't
Yeah.
got any documents, storage, or nothing set up.
Yeah.
So, why don't we actually look at a project that is actively being used right now? Let's
Love it.
say I've got an I've set up a little project here. Um, it's got,
Oh.
well, it's named for this live stream here, and that's what it was set up for. I do notice that
Yeah.
we don't have any documents right now, but you're going to be able to add them up because this particular project actually has a little function attached to it, which
Yes.
which acts as your own little personal bitly. That's what
Oh,
it is.
a personal bit.ly. It's what I've
Yeah,
always needed. Oh, I
I
love
know,
it.
right?
Oh, very cool. So this is a URL shortener, very straightforward. How long did this like really like take you to design, make it, etc.? Oh, sorry, Aditya, we're not going to be able to show your link because you're not an official member.
I
Aditya,
just
put it in
realized that.
our private chat on the stream, and
Okay, yeah, I
Morgan,
am
our
just gonna do it
producer,
there.
will be able to take care of that.
Awesome. Yeah, because people can actually try this out and use it. And so the cool thing with this particular app is that it did really take me a lot of time to develop. The styling, however, would have, but that's kind of where Copilot came to the rescue. So
Mm-hmm. Nice.
it was built with a little help from GitHub for sure. And we're not going to be able to check out how exactly it works. So I've
Oh,
also
cool.
got a repository here to show what we've done here. Um,
Oh, I
and,
love
and
it.
and it's a little functions project that I've created with Appwrite. Um, by the way, just a quick note for anyone who's trying this out: if you go to Appwrite and you go back and you create a new function, all you need to do is use a quick start, and it will create this sort of a structure here for you,
Yo, it's
similar to
amazing.
what I've got within this particular function directory here. This is based on the standard starter template that
Love
we've
it.
got. All I've done is expanded further on this.
Aditya, can you zoom in a little bit for us?
Yes, I will be doing that. I think
Perfect.
this
Thank
should be a
you.
little easier.
Oh, that's
So in
perfect.
this particular function that we've got, what we've done is that using our style of scaffolding for um, Appwrite functions, I've essentially created what works similar to a REST API where um, you can send a get request or a post request or a delete request to this particular function. The post requests are used to, well, create a document here, The get requests, what they'll do is they'll either give back the static file as the landing page you see, it's an HTML file which it's returning. Or if you send it a shortened URL, it'll actually verify whether this URL is available, and if it is, it redirects you to this particular URL, which you can see here. You can because we also kind of set up our CSS within this. We're also returning the CSS file as a static file, which kind of works really well. And the cool thing is that Appwrite functions are fairly flexible in terms of what you can and can't do. So, even with this particular file structure, as long as your main file isn't within the source folder, but you've configured your function in a way where your entry point is actually set to this particular file, it'll use this particular file to kind of run your function.
Super cool.
Yeah, and this is actually also connected to a Git repository on GitHub. So I've set my root directory there. I've set the branch I'm working off, and so now if I make changes to this particular function on GitHub, it'll reflect them on this final application, which I think we can do. Let's actually try and make a change right now. So I've got this little landing page here, right, where I've got a form that will communicate with this function. I've got all my short URLs being displayed here. I'm going to actually go ahead and make a quick little change where I'm going to change this placeholder to github.com.
Nice.
And I'm going to change the placeholder to is awesome.
He's right,
It's true. Yeah. We're going to put a nice commit message, because
always a good
that's
commit
a good thing
message.
To do. Update placeholders in the form. We're going to commit these changes.
Just directly to main.
Yeah. Well, we do like living dangerously, don't we?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You only live once.
Agreed. And so now what you'll see is that we've got this little pending check. And when you click on this, it's going to take me back to this function project that I have, where I had a deployment running, which kind of, completed already, because Appwrite's awesome. It was quick, 9 seconds and we're up. The cool thing is you can actually get all of the logs from your function deployment. So if it fails or if any errors occur, you can actually look at these logs as well.
Look at that. That's so
which is great. And so now when I go back to my function, I'm just going to reload this, and as you can see, yeah, our placeholder is updated.
We love a plain text update. It's fantastic. That was fast too. Like, you barely had time to get to the website before everything finished and completed and was done.
I actually just noticed that someone's added a short link here.
Hey!
I'm almost afraid to try out what it is.
As a GitHub employee, we're not going to open it live on stream, but Aditya promises he will post about it on Blue Sky later, and so you can see what that is. I'm terrified of that. It's probably a Rickroll, but we're not.
That's what I figured. But
we're not going to play that game live on stream. That's how PJ loses his job.
For sure. But I've got a lot of other cool stuff to show here, because since this particular app was connected with GitHub, let me show you something cool. So if you notice, we've got the source mentioned for this particular deployment, which was from GitHub. Some of the other past ones were actually from the CLI, so it mentions that here as well. But if I click on GitHub, I can access the repo, the branch, and the exact commit that this particular deployment has been built from.
Right down to the commit is wild. Exactly. That's really cool.
I think it's amazing, because it lets you know exactly what each deployment has been built from, right? which makes life a lot easier. A few other cool things about this particular function. I showed you some of the function side of it, where we had our function scaffolding, we were taking in our function context, getting our a dynamic API key from our request, but I never showed you the Appwrite configuration in this. So I'm going to go to this appwrite.js file where we've actually got our Appwrite SDK being initialized. This is the Node.js SDK, by the way, where we're using our project endpoint. We're using the project ID, and the cool thing about Appwrite functions actually is that for functions specifically, you actually don't need to manually store the endpoint and the project ID or an API key on your own. You can Appwrite functions come with some of these environment variables available out of the box. So this actually makes life a lot easier here. Um, we've initialized the database here, and we've added a few setup steps which verify if the database exists and if the collection within this database exists, and if not, this will actually create this database here for you. And then with a little bit of error handling and verifications, we're able to get our shortened URL and our short code and our full URL from the body of this request, and store it into database. And so because someone added, well, just a video,
Just the
if I
video.
go
Don't
to the
worry.
if I go to the databases right now, you can notice that all of this information is available here. And so suppose I go ahead and actually delete one of these.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, that's something I did on my own.
Okay.
Nothing to worry about. But when I do that, you can notice that this document's been removed. And if you go back to this function here that we had, you can actually verify these executions here have been made. So all of this information is available to you. Appwrite tries to democratize access to all information about your application. So even if you're not building it, you have access to as much possible information as you can have. And then there is you also get usage statistics, which you can verify, not just on functions, but so when I go to a database, I can verify usage per database. I can track how many reads and writes have happened. I can check how many collections exist. You can also set up backups, which is an offering for paid plans, but education plans will have access to these policies as well.
Awesome.
And this extends to all other services. Like, for example, we've got authentication where you can set up users. You can actually configure a lot more than that. When you look at authentication, you can add teams, which are groupings of users. We've got further security tooling, so you can set a limit of the number of users, how long the sessions should exist, and how many active sessions a user can have. So if you don't want them to log in more than once at a time, you can just decrease that limit. You can set password history so users can't reuse recent passwords. You can set and allow a password dictionary. So we've actually used this particular list of the 10,000 most common passwords, and this prevents any of your users from setting insecure passwords. You can disallow personal data in your passwords, which includes the user's names, email addresses, or phone numbers, session alerts. So when you log in, you're going to get an email alert that session has been created. Mock phone numbers if you want to test phone numbers.
Or if you want to have a $200 Twilio bill.
Exactly.
This is wild. That's a lot of security. And this is going to be the most secure URL shortener that we've ever seen. You have to log in. You need
if you log into this, you haven't even seen the kicker yet, because this one's going to blow your mind. We've got support for over 30 different OAuth adapters.
Hold on. So Etsy, you must log in with your Etsy account to use this URL shortener. Amazing.
Yes, you can actually configure this, and configuring OAuth and Appwrite once your provider is set up is one line of code, um, which is amazing. We've got GitHub login as well. That's probably my favorite because the
Of
other
course.
app I can actually show uses GitHub login, which is an AI crystal ball. So
Ooh.
another
By
app
the
that I'd
way,
actually
real quick, chat, we
yeah.
are going to be taking questions soon if you want, while we're asking this AI crystal ball questions, which is, I can't wait to hear what AI thinks about my future.
Oh, it's gonna tell you. That I can promise you for sure.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Because I'm gonna send you this link. If you try it out, this repository is actually publicly available as well, which is great. And I'm not going to dive too far deep into this particular project. There's a blog I've written about it, which you can actually check out as well.
Yeah, and all this is also available in the discussion that we've been posting and talking
Yes.
about, which is at gh.io/Appwrite-25. All the information from today's stream will be in that discussion later. All right, Aditya, we got like 7 minutes. Show me this AI crystal ball. I'm ready.
So, PJ, how about we reverse this around? I've sent in the repository, the repository is visible here. We've sent the blog to the chat. Why don't you share your screen and try it out and be bewildered? Because this uses GitHub login with Appwrite in it.
Oh,
So,
Lord. Oh, Lord. All right. Let's see how this goes. Give
this
me a
one's actually
second.
going to be fun.
I can't wait. I'm going to be live terrifying myself. Hold on. AI crystal ball share. All right. I am sharing my stream, I guess. And
I
I
think I'm
hope
probably more
everyone...
scared because I really hope this doesn't crash.
Aren't we all
But
scared? All right. Okay.
yeah.
So here we go. I just need to be able to see what's happening to me on the stream. Okay. Log in with GitHub. And now we can see my student account and my teacher account and my main account. Yep. I'm authorizing Aditya specifically.
Yes.
At least it's just my email address, so that's good.
We set
All
the right
right.
permissions. We're going to make sure we do that.
Oh,
So
no. Don't look
it's
at
going
my
to.
repos.
Because what we're doing here actually is I'm not going to store your repositories, but I am getting your top languages from you. So
My top
now,
language is badly written Python. Oh, is this going to be brutal, Aditya? Am I going to cry?
no comments.
My 10 following friends. Listen, EJS is the epitome of templating languages. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
An empire in Go. It's so funny that Go was picked because that's the language that the cybersecurity company that I worked for before GitHub, everything was written in Go. So it's like, PJ, what's up with Go? I'm like, I don't know. Ask me how many lines of Go I've written. -2. I've deleted more lines of Go than I've written.
So, PJ, do you want to check out what what information we kind of got from your account? Because
oh yeah, let's
I've
show that.
actually, yep.
I'm gonna stop sharing my
I
screen.
now have access to what all information we kind of stored within Appwrite here. I'm gonna
Great.
just bring this up because I don't want to share too much more beyond that.
Yeah, I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
Funny.
So I'm just gonna bring my screen back. Oh yeah, we can bring my screen back up because I've just got it open to your data. So what we did there when you saw the initial setup, right, was we kind of actually had you log in with the GitHub API. The reason we checked your top 30 repositories was because we wanted to get the 5 most commonly used languages that GitHub detected and store it along with your follow account, your following count, your username. And then we kind of just fed it to GPT-4 to roast you.
Yeah,
Which
just GPT,
you can
roast
actually,
this guy.
yes, which you can actually just catch here. When I look at our application, I believe, I hope this is the page. I'll actually need to double check on that because it's been a while. Oh, wait. Yeah, we've got our destiny generator here. So we were actually just getting your information from the GitHub API. The library for this is actually all set up. We've got the Appwrite configuration here. We've got the GitHub configuration here. We use the GitHub API quite a lot for this one to get your repositories and languages. We used your own users information in your user session. And when I was telling you it's a single line to create an OAuth login, that's all it is. That's all this project needed to get that going.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, super cool. This is way better than the Magic 8-Ball app I built in Python that's just in the CLI and uses a list of responses and a random number generator. This is way fancier.
What's another thing that we did was the reason we stored this information in Appwrite was so that you wouldn't have to keep querying the GitHub API again and again and again. So you wouldn't get rate limited if you, as a student. Which can be a thing with such projects.
Oh, absolutely. I can't tell. That's another rite of passage is suddenly finding a rate limit on an API in the middle of your schoolwork. And you're like, this was working yesterday. And it's like, yeah, man, like Aditya, this has been really cool. So we talked about, you showed us 2 projects built with Appwrite, one with an OAuth login, which is great. You showed us how easy it is to set up, and we've got more after this show. So in the link that's scrolling on the bottom right now, gh.io/appwrite-25, that's a discussion post on GitHub where you can continue to learn and you can keep talking to Aditya and myself. And if you've got questions, ideas, etc. No, we don't have the free GPT API key. You're just going to have to...
I learned from my mistakes. That's what I say.
Yeah, it's not in there plain text this time. But I've really loved having you on the show. Appwrite's really useful. And students, again, you're getting essentially the pro version for free. So don't just get it for yourself. Tell your friends. Tell everyone in your programming class, in your English class, in your 1873 history, America class, whatever class you're taking, man. Tell everyone about it. Thank you, Aditya. I keep pointing over here like you're over here. Thank you, Aditya, for coming through. And GitHub Education, we will catch y'all on stream next time. Stay posted. Stay tuned. I don't know. Have a great day. Love y'all. Mean it.